I'm Linda Mchala. I'm 24 years of age and I'm a digital marketer at Spanora Media. Many women in developing countries such as Uganda are detected with breast cancer at a late stage. Therefore, the chances of a cure are very low. So at Spanora Media, we felt that it's good to add our voice to educate the women out there about the risks of breast cancer, the symptoms, self-detection methods, and how to prevent breast cancer.
Hi, my name is Castro Chisule. I'm a specialist gynecologist working with Alexandra Medical Center and Zambia Hospital. So breast cancer is the commonest female cancer in the world. Probably over 6 million people are diagnosed every year. Breast cancer is where we have cells that have become cancerous or are growing abnormally in the tissues of the breast. And that's when we call it breast cancer. It is very important to know breast cancer because breast cancer is one of those cancers that we can prevent because it has very good screening capabilities. We have very good screening capabilities for us to be able to detect changing cells or cancer in its early form that can be reversed or can be treated. So we encourage people to know a lot more about breast cancer because doing very simple things can be able to catch the disease in its early stage or even before it has developed into cancer for us not to progress to cancer. So it's important that people know about it and they know that they can work together with their healthcare providers to prevent the development of breast cancer. It's a very common cancer. It's the commonest female diagnosed cancer. So it's the commonest cancer amongst women diagnosed worldwide. In Uganda here, it is the third commonest cancer. So it is very important because it also happens commonly. So that's a very good question, and people need to know how is my risk of developing cancer. So cancer in the breast can be developed by both men and women. It is just many more times commoner in women than in men. And the risks of breast cancer have been studied. The biggest risk for breast cancer is family history. If someone has a very strong family history of breast cancer, say if their mother had breast cancer, their sister had breast cancer, any first-degree relative with breast cancer diagnosed at an early age is going to be at risk of breast cancer. So there are certain genes that people carry that may put them at risk for breast cancer. The commonest here is the BRCA gene. So it is a very big word, but some people who have some gene mutations in them which they can carry on from generation to generation. Your mother, your father can give you that gene, and when you have that gene, you are at a 60 to 80% chance of developing breast cancer. And it's not only breast cancer, it can also be ovarian cancer. So if you have family history of someone who developed ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, colon cancer, or even breast cancer, they're at increased risk of getting breast cancer. The other risks, of course, have been studied. There is a very controversial one about contraceptives, whether contraceptives put you at risk. Many studies have shown different results. I mean, some say there's a very small, slight chance, 7%, 9%, and some go as far as 20% increased risk of breast cancer using hormonal contraceptive pills. However, the bigger studies seem to say the risk is minimum, it is not significant. So the jury is out there. So there may still be a slight risk of contraceptives giving you breast cancer. People are exposed to radiation, X-rays, CT scans of the breast are also at risk of breast cancer. Yes, definitely. There are ways we can prevent ourselves from getting the diagnosis of breast cancer. You may have the gene, and if you have the gene and you find out that my mother, my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer, kindly visit us or any other health facility for us to do some genetic tests for you. If we find that indeed you have these genes that are highly associated with breast cancer, we shall advise particular things to do in order to prevent you from getting cancer. The other things are to do with screening, because if we screen everyone and we say every woman or man must screen themselves for breast cancer, every woman must learn how to do a self-breast exam. And the self-breast exam would mean that you put one hand under the breast and then you use the other hand to press against the other hand, okay, under the breast, to have the breast be in between your hands. And if you feel any hard golf ball like hard thing in your breast, then it could be a lump which could give you a possibility of having breast cancer. So if you feel any hard thing and you're not breastfeeding, then you should come in for a test, okay? And self-breast exam is the earliest way we can be able to detect something is wrong. And after examining yourself, then you come to the hospital. We will offer you things like ultrasound, and if you're a particular age, then we'll do a mammogram. So screening should happen once every 5 years for people below 40. People above 40 can be screened once every 3 years. Okay, and those with increased risks can even be screened once every year. So every woman over 40 should have a mammogram at least once every 3 years. And we encourage all women of all age groups to do self-breast examinations. So depending on the diagnosis of breast cancer is very wide and varied. There are very many types and subtypes within the diagnosis of breast cancer. So breast cancer generally can be treated using different methods. We can use surgery, so we can operate to remove the breast affected and certain lymph nodes in the breast we can remove lymph nodes from the side of the breast that is affected. We can use radiotherapy to treat cancer cells. We can use chemotherapy to treat cancer cells. We can also use tablets, normal tablets to suppress cancer cells after treatment of breast cancer. So those are the ways in which we can treat breast cancer. And they're all locally available in Uganda.
My name is Tracy Amito. I'm 25 years old and I'm the Finance and Administration Officer at Spanora Media. The people at risk of getting breast cancer are people with family history of breast cancer. So if your immediate family members have been diagnosed with breast cancer before, like your father, your mother, your sister, or your daughters, then you're at a higher risk of getting breast cancer. Also people with inherited gene mutations that create a higher risk for you to get breast cancer. For example, the breast cancer gene 1 and the breast cancer gene 2, then you're at a higher risk of getting breast cancer. People with past history of breast cancer. So if you've personally been diagnosed with breast cancer before on one side of your breast, then you're at a higher risk of getting the cancer on your other breast as well. People with dense breasts. So if the doctor says you have dense breasts, it means you have more fibrous tissue than fatty tissue compared to someone who doesn't have dense breasts. So if you have dense breasts, you're at a high risk of getting breast cancer. Also, if you have dense breasts, it makes it harder for the mammogram to detect the cancer in your breast. And also, people who have a high intake of alcohol are at a high risk of having the cancer. The advice I would give to women out there is to do self-examinations regularly so that you're familiar with your breasts. So that in case of any changes like lumps or anything different, you can easily tell and then let your doctor know. Also, I'd advise women who are 35 years and above to do the mammogram, which is an X-ray picture of your breasts. It's the best way doctors can detect breast cancer now, early, even up to 3 years before you can feel it.
Hello, my name is Triza K. Alpimani. I am the Assistant Commercial Manager and Account Manager at Spanora Media Agency. So October is the Pink Month, and there are several ways that women of the world can, there's certain things that they can follow in order to reduce the risks of getting breast cancer. One of the ways is your dieting. Basically, the food that you consume, you need to watch what you eat and make sure you eat a healthy diet. And in addition to it, you need to engage in physical exercises to keep fit, to keep fresh, and also to refresh your metabolism. Secondly is are the things that we consume. First and foremost, if you can avoid completely, reduce or better yet avoid the use and the consumption of alcohol and tobacco, which is very harmful to health. Actually, even most people every company that sells tobacco tells you that it's risky for you, it's not good for your health, the consumption is not good for your health. So bottom line is, don't consume it. The other way is to also check your exposure to radiation. So when you go out in the sun, it's advisable for you to use a suntan or something that protects you from the ultraviolet rays of the sun, the UV rays of the sun. And maybe watch the consumption of hormonal substances, especially nowadays there's a lot of promotion to drugs and substances that can affect our hormones, and the constant use of them could also pose a huge risk to women contracting breast cancer. And maybe last but not least, this is one of the unpopular ways to avoid to reduce the risk of breast cancer, and that's breastfeeding. Especially for women who have children, they're encouraged to breastfeed. And those who don't have children and you have spouses, well, they can fill in and make sure they help you out in trying to reduce the risk to breast cancer. Simple, safe, secure.